afternoon everyone. As we all know that the prelims are approaching and next IAS is conducting the test series for prelims, and today I am going to take up some of the questions from one of the question papers of our test series, and the topics that I would be discussing would be your international relations and few questions of current affairs. Before we take up the questions, let me tell you one thing that with respect to international relations, we do not get many of the questions. The past trend, the experience that we have gained through the past papers, it has been like there has been like 3-4 questions from international relations, but that does not mean that UPSC would continue with this trend. But yes, one thing is very much clear that the most of the questions that they are asking in the current affairs is basically asking in your international relations is basically from the current affairs, the organizations which have been in the news, the treaties which have been in the news, or any major event that has taken place, or any convention which has been in the news. So, they are asking the questions from the current affairs. And some of the organizations, sometimes they ask you the organizations which have been in the news, they ask you the basic structure of those organizations. So, let us see the questions one by one. So, the first question is, India has a 2+2 dialogue engagement to the level of foreign and defense ministers with which of the following countries? Now, this 2+2 dialogue mechanism or engagement has been in the news because why it has been in the news? It has been in the news because very recently, like before the US elections, we have seen that their defense minister and their foreign minister Mike Pompeo, they had come to India, and then we had this 2+2 dialogue mechanism. So, 2+2 is basically foreign and defense minister of one country vis-a-vis the foreign minister and the defense minister of another country. So, here like recently it has been in the news because we have conducted it with USA, and then with respect to Russia it has been in the news constantly that we are going to have a 2+2 dialogue mechanism. It is yet to materialize, but it has been in the news. So, this 2+2 has been in the news, and then with respect to Australia also we have done the 2+2 dialogue mechanism. So, the 2+2, what I want to focus is like 2+2 dialogue mechanism has been in the news for almost 1 year. So, that is why we have taken up this question. So, India has a 2+2 dialogue engagement to the level of foreign and defense ministers with which of the following countries? So, Bhutan, no, Bhutan is not there. Then Bhutan, it's not correct. Russia, the talks are going on, but it is yet to be finalized, so it is out. Then Australia, yes, it has been in the news, and with Japan, yes, we have. There are only 3 countries with whom we have 2+2 dialogue mechanism, that is your Australia, Japan and US. So, Bhutan and Russia is ruled out, Australia and Japan is correct. So, select the correct answer using the code given below. 1 and 2 only, it is not correct. 2 and 3 only, it is not correct. 3 and 4 only, and D is all. So, when we have 3 and 4 as the correct option, so answer is C. Now, question number 2. With reference to the United Nations Security Council, consider the following statements. Currently, number 1, currently India is serving as a non-permanent member of the UNSC. The UNSC is composed of 20 members, 5 permanent members and 15 non-permanent members. Which of the statements given is or are correct? So, when you see this UNSC has been in the news for past so many years because India wants to be in the United Nations Security Council as a permanent member. So, because India has been always talking about being in the UNSC as a permanent member, so UNSC has always been in the news, one thing. Second is like currently India is serving, yes, on the 1st of January 2021, India has joined UNSC again for the 8th time as a non-permanent member. So that is why it was also in the news. So because of these two reasons, UNSC has always been in the news, and very recently, like 2-3 days back also, we have seen that the current Biden administration in United Nations, they have said that they have not said yes to the Indian candidature for UNSC permanent seat, rather they have said that it needs to be discussed. So there is no clear yes, like earlier administration Trump was supporting India, like India should be in P5. But anyway, so what I wanted to show is like these things have been in the news. So UNSC consider the following statement. So currently India is serving as a non-permanent member of the UNSC. Yes, India is serving as a non-permanent member of UNSC. This is correct. 8th time we are there. The UNSC is composed of 20 members, 5 permanent members and 15 non-permanent members. So here the organization has been in the news, UNSC has been in the news, and this is a basic structure of UNSC that they are asking. One thing is from current, one option is from current, and one option is from the basic structure of UNSC. So UNSC is composed of 20 members. So this 20 is not correct. UNSC is composed of 15 members, 5 permanent, this is correct, and 15 non-permanent. No, this is not correct, it is 10. So only one statement is correct. So which of the statements given is or are correct? It is only one. Now let us see the question number 3. With reference to the bilateral investment treaties, BITs, consider the following statements. Bilateral investment treaties have been an important reason for FDI inflows into India. Number 2, India signed the first BITs in 2018 with the UK, United Kingdom. Which of the following statements given above is or are correct? Now, bilateral investment treaties. So basically, as name itself is saying, it is investment treaties. It means that the treaties, bilateral investment treaties, are done to facilitate investments in countries. That's why we give certain kind of concessions, we give certain, we provide platforms so that investments could come into the country, and that is why we signed BITs. So the first statement, that BIT have been an important reason for FDI flows into India. Yes, because the purposes of BIT is to bring FDIs. So this is statement 1 is correct. Now let us look at the statement 2. India signed the first BITs in 2018 with the UK. So this statement is partially correct, because we have signed the first BIT with UK, that is correct, but it is not in as recent as in 2018. It was immediately after we opened up our economy, that is LPG, जब हमने start किया था, तो it was somewhere around 93-94. It was not in 2018. So immediately after our LPG, है ना, जब हमने LPG किया तो हम country में investments चाहते थे, and it was the first treaty that BIT treaty that we signed with UK, and it was in early 1990s, not in 2018. So which of the statements given is or are correct? It is only one is correct. So we have A as an option. Now question number 4. With reference to the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, consider the following statements. It is an intergovernmental organization established under the aegis of the United Nations. None of the countries blacklisted as of now. Putting a country in grey list involves a direct penal action against the country. So when this again FATF is in the news for the past 3-4 years, because Pakistan has been grey listed, and India wants that Pakistan should be blacklisted because it is funding the terrorism in India. So FATF is basically an intergovernmental organization. That is very correct. It is an intergovernmental organization established under the aegis of the United Nations. So this United Nations is not correct. It is not by United Nations, but it is by G7. None of the countries are blacklisted as of now. This is also not correct. None of the countries are not blacklisted as of now. There are 2 countries, and there have been so many articles whenever in like you might be reading the newspapers, and articles are there like India wants that Pakistan should also be blacklisted, and then they are also naming the countries who are currently or presently who are blacklisted. The 2 countries are blacklisted as of now. It is your Iran and North Korea. So it has been in the news. Then putting a country in grey list involves a direct penal action against the country. So direct penal action is not when you are in the grey list. That is why we are saying that there should be, Pakistan should be put in the blacklist, so that there is a direct penal action. So when you are in the grey list, it involves stringent surveillance, it involves like there is a vigilance over the funding mechanism of the country. It's not about the direct penal action. So it is a kind of a indirect, because you are being surveillance is being done, you are being watched, you are given time, you are being observed. So it is not a direct. So this is also not correct. Now, which of the following statements given above are not correct? Here generally what happens is, in the exam there is somewhere at the back of our mind, it is always which of the following are correct, but we have to be very careful about not correct. So not correct, neither A nor B nor C. नहीं आपका 1 right है, ना 2 right है, ना 3 right है. So which of the following are not correct? So A and 1 and 2, no. 2 and 3, 1 and 3, all 3 are not correct. So answer is D. Now question number 5. With reference to the new Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, New START, consider the following statements. It is a nuclear arms reduction treaty between the NATO allies and the Russian Federation. Its formal name is Measures for the Further Reduction and Limitation of Strategic Offensive Arms. Number 3, New START replaced the Treaty of Moscow. Sort. Which of the following statements given above is or are correct? Now, this particular treaty, New START treaty, India is nowhere involved. But sometimes UPSC asks you the question where India is not directly involved, but the treaty is important and it has been in the news. So this New START treaty has been in the news for the past 3-4 months. Why it has been in the news? Because it has been in the news because it is now, it was signed in 2010 and it was implemented in 2011, and by February 2021 इसका जो है ये खत्म होने वाली है. So whether it is going to be renewed or not, because Trump administration was not showing keen interest to renew the treaty, but we have to see how the Biden administration is going to do with this treaty, what they are going to do with this treaty, how they are going to deal this treaty. So that is why the treaty has been in the news. Now, it is a nuclear arms reduction treaty. Yes, it's a nuclear arms reduction treaty between the NATO allies. No, it's not between the NATO allies. Rather, it is between USA and Russian Federation. So, it's a nuclear arms reduction treaty between USA and Russian Federation. So, it is wrong because of NATO allies. Its formal name is Measures for the Further Reduction and Limitation of Strategic Offensive Arms. Yes. Its New START replaced the Treaty of Moscow. Yes, it is also correct. So, these two things, they are the factual things. If you know the treaty has been in the news and if you know about the facts, then only you can answer these two options. Otherwise, जो है कई बार मुश्किल हो जाती है, because we have to know the fact also. तो अगर ये फैक्ट है, ये बिल्कुल फैक्ट है, इसमें यू हैव टू मार्क अप कि इससे पहले कौन सी ट्रीटी थी, इसका और क्या नाम है, फॉर्मल नाम क्या है, तो ये फैक्चुअल पार्ट है. एंड ऊपर वाला भी आपका फैक्चुअल है. इट्स नॉट बिटवीन नेटो but rather it is between USA and Russian Federation. So which of the following statements given is or are correct? So 2 and 3 are correct, so option is B. Question number 6. With reference to the Afghanistan-Pakistan Transit Trade Agreement, consider the following statements. See, this Afghanistan-Pakistan Transit Trade Agreement, APTTA. briefly इसको कई बार हम APTTA भी कहते हैं. Consider the following statements. It permits both countries to use each other's airports, railways, roads and ports for transit trade along the designated transit corridors. It does not allow Afghanistan the right to import Indian goods across Pakistani territory. So this Afghanistan-Pakistan transit trade agreement कभी कभी ये न्यूज़ में होता है because why it is in the news, because sometimes Pakistan does not allow Afghanistan to utilize this agreement fully. Now I'll tell you what is this agreement about. This is an agreement, as the first line says, that it is an agreement. It permits both the countries to use each other's airports, railways, roads and ports for transit trade along the designated transit routes. So under this treaty, Afghanistan is able to trade with India. It comes through the boundaries and the borders. It uses the transit of Pakistan. It comes to India Wagha border pe, and Afghanistan also permits Pakistan under this treaty to move towards Central Asia. So this is, it permits both the countries. So statement 1 is correct. Now the second statement, it does not allow Afghanistan the right to import Indian goods across Pakistani territory. So under this treaty, what is the modus operandi? The modus operandi is that under the treaty, Afghanistan is allowed to export its goods to India through Pakistan via Wagha border, but it does not allow Afghanistan to import things from India under the treaty. So that is what the statement is also saying, that it does not allow Afghanistan the right to import Indian goods across Pakistani territory, because India के goods अगर यहाँ से हम export करेंगे तो it would be beneficial for India. So Pakistan does not allow that, but it allows Afghanistan to send its goods to India, but not to take goods from India. Why does it allow Afghanistan? Because it also needs Afghanistan to reach Central Asia. So anyways, this is also correct, this is also correct. Now which of the given statements is or are correct? Both the statements are correct, so answer is C. Question number 7. This is a question with respect to your some current initiatives of the government. With reference to the Garib Kalyan Rojgar Abhiyan, consider the following statements. The initiative will boost employment and livelihood opportunities for street vendors in the wake of COVID-19 outbreak. The Ministry of Rural Development is the nodal ministry for this campaign. Which of the following statements given above is or are correct? Now, with reference to the Garib Kalyan Rojgar Abhiyan, this is basically about your, it's an initiative to boost employment and livelihood opportunities, that is correct, but not for street vendors. Street vendors के लिए we have a different scheme. This scheme is basically for the migrant laborers who during the pandemic who have returned back to the villages. So this scheme is not for street vendors. Street vendors के लिए we have other initiative, that is your Pradhan Mantri Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi. That's a different scheme. But Garib Kalyan Rojgar Abhiyan is for your migrant laborers who have migrant laborers who have gone back home during the pandemic. So statement 1 is not correct, it is incorrect. The Ministry of Rural Development is the nodal ministry for this campaign. Yes, the Ministry of Rural Development is the nodal ministry. So which of the following statement is or are correct? Only one is correct, so answer is A. Now question number 8. Which of the following statements is or are correct with respect to the Budapest Convention of 2004? Now Budapest Convention has been in the news because we are into too much of online and there have been lot of misuse of the इंटरनेट ऑल्सो है ना. सो उसको लेकर के जो आपका ऑनलाइन जो आपका क्राइम है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू योर इंटरनेट, विद रिस्पेक्ट टू आपका जितना भी टेरर फाइनेंसिंग फंडिंग है, तो उससे रिलेटेड है. दिस इज बुडापेस्ट कन्वेंशन इज रिलेटेड टू दैट एंड इट हैज़ बीन इन द न्यूज़. सो इट इज़ एन इंटरनेशनल ट्रीटी seeking to address the problems of illegal trade in arms across the nations. No, it is not about your illegal trade in arms across the nations, but it is related to your cyber crime. So online जो भी है आपका उससे related है. It is not related to your arms, trade in arms. This is wrong. This is related to your cyber crime. They are asking you treaties. Many times this year also they have asked a treaty which is related to your health, and this is about your cyber crime. This is not about your trade in arms. India is a signatory to this convention. India is not a signatory to this convention because we have our own apprehensions. We are talking about data sovereignty. We want that there should be transparency in the data that we share, and we want to have the sovereignty over the data. So India is not a signatory to this convention. So which of the following statements are correct answers? So neither is A is correct nor B is correct. So answer is your D. है ना, नीदर 1 नॉट 2, दोनों ही इनकरेक्ट हैं, तो आपका आंसर होगा डी. क्वेश्चन नंबर 9. इंडिया इंपोर्ट स्पाइक LR एंटी टैंक गाइडेड मिसाइल्स. Long range, LR is long range. India imports Spike LR anti-tank guided missiles from USA, Russia, Israel, Japan. So many times we have seen that they are asking you questions with respect to your missiles, with respect to tanks. जो भी हम arms ammunitions कहीं बाहर से लाते हैं, 26 जनवरी की परेड में we have seen this time we had Rafale, तो Rafale हम फ्रांस से लेके आ रहे, तो it has been in the news. Similarly, the question is not with respect to Rafale, rather it is with respect to Spike LR. So my purpose is like sometimes the important your missiles or helicopters or your aeroplanes that we are buying for the defense, they ask you the questions related to that. And Spike LR has been in the news because we have again put an order, रीऑर्डर. पहले लेके आए थे, फिर दोबारा से हमने ऑर्डर किया है, और ये किस कंट्री से हम लेते हैं? दिस इज योर इजराइल. Answer is C. So this is a very factual question. If we know from which country we are importing or from or which country we are exporting to, जैसे अभी recently we have talked about we would be exporting BrahMos to the friendly countries. तो हम किन countries में export कर रहे हैं, import कर रहे हैं, we are very much clear about it. So then only we can answer this question. So this is Israel. Last question that I would be taking today is with reference to Rashtriya Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan, RUSA. Consider the following statements. It was launched to provide funding to the universities with Institute of Eminence status. The National Mission Authority under RUSA is headed by the Prime Minister. So what is this RUSA? RUSA is not a very recent scheme. Rather, this is a scheme of 2013. But why we have put it under current? Because it has been in the news because of the corruption allegations, misappropriation of funds under this scheme. So it has been in the news. So the question is there. It was launched to provide funding to the universities with Institute of Eminence status. No, this is not with the Institute of Eminence, but it is not only to the Institute of Eminence, because Institute of Eminence का concept तो अभी कुछ time पहले आपका 2-3 साल पहले से है. But the thing is, this scheme is very old, 2013 की scheme है. RUSA scheme is basically with respect to funding of your higher education across the country. So it's not with respect to your Institute of Eminence status. The National Ministry or the Mission Authority under RUSA is headed by the Prime Minister. No, it is not headed by the Prime Minister. Rather, it comes under your HRD ministry, and it is headed by your HRD minister, Human Resource Development Minister. So both the statements given are wrong. So which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1, 2, both 1 and 2, neither 1 or not 2. So answer would be D. So sometimes the schemes which were launched way back, but they have been in the news, so they are asking you questions from that also. So that's all for the day. Thank you.